Is that what ratioed means?
Yeah, so like I just learned that like a
I'm
few
not that
months ago.
cool.
So like if you're saying, oh, I'm getting ratioed, it means you're getting more comments than likes because the comments are tearing your up. Yep.
I'm not that cool. I didn't know what that was. There's so many terms that I'm like, what? I'm like, I've
Yeah,
never heard that before. And so I always feel like I'm such an old lady.
yeah.
What has been the biggest challenge that you faced as an illustrator online and in the art world, other than outside of that bubble?
Hmm. Getting paid. Um, when, I mean, like, so it's so funny because like I've got so many art friends who they've had like little minor issues with like clients not paying. I feel like a lot of us go through that,
We all do,
but
yeah.
like I'm gonna be good, and I'm not gonna name names, but there have been so many points.
Name them. Welcome to Graphic Content, the podcast where we talk all things who, why, and the what the moments along the way. Today's guest is a vibrant, genre blurring illustrator whose work lives at the intersection of drag, fantasy, and fashion. With a BFA in 2D design from the University of Louisville, he has built a body of work ranging from drag illustrations to terrifying nightmare creatures and runway ready costume designs, tapping into personal narratives of queerness, identity, and power through visual storytelling. Welcome to Graphic Content, Columbus Heath.
Hi.
Hello. It's so nice to see you. I'm glad that we can actually have like a face to face. We've been Instagram friends for like forever.
A while, yeah. Actually, I was gonna ask because like my memory is not the greatest. How do we initially meet online?
I mean, I think I just started following you. I saw your work and was like, this person is so talented. I need to see this on my feed every time he posts.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, like it's really cool to finally like meet because it's kind of surreal like meeting some of like your social media pals because like you spend so much time like texting and then when you you finally do like a FaceTime or something, it's trippy.
It brings the conversation into like into the real realm. You're like, oh,
Hmm.
you move, you have a voice. It's not just
Yep,
like texting. Yeah.
exactly.
So how's your summer going? How's it been?
Pretty hot. I'm not sure what it's like up there, but like we're in the upper 90s and our AC broke last
Oh,
week. So that was a struggle. But apart from melting to death, it's been pretty good. Just working and stuff.
technically, I'm like the most southern point of all of Canada,
Okay.
and so I'm right on the border of Detroit,
Okay.
and it is scorching. Like we always have like the most heat. Like apparent if you look at a map and you go across the world, like at the same, what is it called when it's at the same?
Not the equator.
No, when it's like if you're like where I am, let's say you were to go all the way across in that same plane, like
Oh,
we're level to like Ibiza. Like that's where or Ibiza. we're
Ibiza.
like we're right there. So we have like
Okay.
lizards. It's wild.
Not lizards.
Little ones, yeah. Out in the at the point, there's a
Mhm.
point park, and there's tons of lizards there. It's actually like crazy to see.
Yeah, we have giant bugs that have like crawled out of hell, and they've been like at first I thought there was birds in my window, like smacking on the window, but it's giant beetles, and I'm like, where did y'all come from? So
Ew.
the heat's just dragging them out of the ground.
I recently saw a moth that was like this big
That would be
on
so
like right
dope.
outside.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, not when you're like sitting around trying to like smoke a joint, and then all of a sudden there's this like giant bird bug that's like up in your space.
Oh shit. See, like ever since I was a kid, I've loved bugs. So like I'm the one that will like hold the bug, name the bug. Everybody else is screaming. I've made a friend. So
Mhm. Did you ever do those projects as a kid where you like catch the bugs and then pin them? Like where you
see,
like
like
label them?
I never like because I know like there's a process to it. Like I have friends who do it, but like I've always been kind of nervous of like a damaging the body and damaging the wings. So I want to do it someday, but I've not been too brave to try it yet.
So the way to do it, because
Hmm.
and this one of the few things that stuck with me from my grade school days is
Hmm.
you have to if you put with rubbing alcohol, or like a nail polish remover
Yeah.
on like a swab of cotton, and you put it underneath like let's say you put like a flat board to cover that um, beneath it, and then
Hmm.
when you trap them in the jar, then which is terrible, but they suffocate or they die, but then they're in
Okay.
one piece. And I remember having to do
Oh,
that with
okay.
like a mosquitoes, where I had to trap a mosquito. I'm like, how the am I gonna put a pin through this thing? It was like wild.
Mosquitoes is crazy because they're so tiny.
They're so small. You're literally taking like tweezers and then just
Hmm.
placing it in. It was, but in the end, it looked cool.
Hmm. I don't know why I never knew this, but it took me years to realize that female mosquitoes are the ones that suck blood out, not the males.
And then
That's
the big
crazy.
ones are the males, like the really big ones you see, and you're like, that
Hmm.
looks like a demon mosquito.
Those are far too big.
Yeah, they get in your house, and you're like,
Hmm. I think somebody's pet got loose in our apartment because we have some hippies that live next door. Do you know those
hmm
big poisonous centipedes with like that are red and gold?
no, we don't have those.
Okay, so, like neither do we. And so there was one like there was one that was about like 4 or 5 inches in our kitchen dying, and I was like, those are like tropical poisonous centipedes. I think someone's pet got loose, and it was in our kitchen.
Okay, but that's sick. Who's keeping bugs as pets? Personally, it's just not for me. It's not for me. Like, I just don't want that in my life.
Hmm. I get that.
Ugh. Part of the reason I wanted to have you on, because I thought, so anyway, I'm going to backtrack a bit. And I say this to almost every guest, especially in this first season, when I
Hmm.
made a list at the end of last year, I was thinking about, okay, I want to do this podcast. I want to start talking to people. And who do I have in my network, let's say, that I want to talk to? And I had put you as one of the names. It took me a minute to like get the courage to ask you, because I just was like, I don't know if he'd even consider it. Like, would this be something he'd want to do? But I was going through my Instagram and like who I'm connected to, and to me, having you on is a get. Like, to me, that's a get for me. I'm like, oh my gosh! Like when you said yes, I was like,
that
ah!
that's so flattering. Like I don't know. I think like with everyday life and everything, like I kind of like forget my impact that like my social media presence and artwork has on people. And so to hear stuff like that, it just makes me like really ecstatic.
But that's a good thing, because you're not living with ego. You're like you're still humble, and even though
Hmm.
you're doing such amazing work, you really are. Your reach is pretty big. But like, to me, as I've been seeing you, your name is getting brought up in certain interviews. You're out there. To me, I'm like,
Hmm.
I'm just a 4-month-old show. So at the time of recording, so I'm not anything. And so when anyone says yes, I'm always like, oh my gosh, I feel
Hmm.
so like thankful. So I appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you too. Yeah, no, I'm very flattered.
We're going to go to the beginning, because
Hmm.
as creatives, like, I have a similar story to you as to how we got into creative, but like, what got you into art in the first place?
My dad was like a big artist like back when he was younger and stuff, and he would just do art in school and everything, but he never like pursued it. So like when I was growing up, it kind of was like a amalgamation of everything. Like he got me into comics, he got me into like drawing barbarians and monsters and stuff like that. And I think it was just like the perfect storm of like him showing me how to draw like little warriors and dinosaurs and stuff. And then
Hmm
also he would like get me gifts of like comic books like of X-Men. And so I think that just it was so early on that like I can't remember a time when I wasn't creative. So he kind of like the catalyst for like all of that. So I just stuck with it. I was drawing a bunch of like little gory like dinosaur scenes like on like little a loose leaf paper, and then that just kind of kept evolving.
I'm in the same boat as you.
Hmm.
My mom was the let's say the pusher when
Yeah.
it came to creative, because like most creatives, most people who draw, it
Hmm.
was always like, oh, I as soon as I could pick up a pencil, like I was always drawing. And she was the one that was like putting me in art classes when I was 10, outside of
Hmm.
school, like on weekends. And to
Hmm.
me, that's the reason I am where I'm at today. Like I was in high school, I honestly thought I was going to be a lawyer. That was
Hmm.
the thing I wanted to go in. So it's always
Hmm.
nice when you have a parent, especially because things are changing now, but our generation is art was not necessarily always seen as like a viable path. So it's
Yeah.
nice to hear that.
Yeah, like both my parents like kind of pushed me to be creative, but also kind of like be like realistic as far as careers. And unfortunately, a lot of schools just don't prepare artists for the real world. So like that's a
No,
whole different topic. But yeah, like I always had that foundation of like encouragement because they were just like keep doing it. So kept doing it.
In the early days, like what were things? So your dad, you were saying like, oh, your dad had you drawing certain things. Like, was there like a theme that would come up a lot?
Well, yeah, actually, like as a gay man, I feel like we always gravitate towards strong women, and so X-Men, especially with Storm, like Aurora Monroe,
Hmm.
I was obsessed, and so I just had different versions of her like in my like notebooks. It started off with like little warriors and dinosaurs and monsters, and then it turned into more like superheroes for like a good while. And so I kind of wish I could find my old sketchbooks because my superheroes were just like big circle like I guess women's heads and then the body parts coming out of the heads. So almost like a deformed Funko Pop almost. And
Uh-huh.
so yeah, like that was a heavy subject matter for like most of elementary school was like drawing female superheroes.
Once again, I can relate. I always drew women.
Hmm.
Always. I would always draw women, especially when I was younger and like Spice Girls were big. Like
Oh
I
yes.
would draw the Spice Girls, but in like my version of what I wanted them to wear, or like the
Hmm.
hairstyles I wanted them to have. And I would always draw like I have all my notebooks. I have all my sketchbooks from when I was a kid.
I'm
And
jealous.
they're in a pile in my parents' basement. I have to find them, but I know they're there. They're hiding.
Hmm.
And there's so many. It's just like woman after woman after woman. Like I would draw
Hmm.
like pop stars. I would draw like get. I had like Blender magazine and Rolling Stone,
Oh
and would
yeah.
just like look at them and just like see if I could just recreate the image from just looking at it.
I love that though, and I also love Spice Girls. Like I feel like that was also an early gay flag or
Awakening.
awakening. Yeah, it was Spice Girls for sure. Strong women in general was like the foundation of like a lot of like my artwork, and that kind of evolved into like Victoria's Secret fashion shows. Like I was obsessed with those,
Hmm.
and that was like more towards middle school and high school. And then I kind of like I still do like the superhero stuff too, but I started to do like fashion, and like I was really interested in drawing like voluptuous women. And so, and then there was a weird connection where like everybody around me, my family and friends were like, "Oh, he's straight." I'm like, "Okay,
Not quite.
not quite." To me, I'm like, what seems more homosexual or like more queer? Drawing like as a man, like drawing a bunch of voluptuous women in skimpy outfits with swords and stuff, or drawing men with big bulges. Like,
One and the same.
because I'm like, how gay would it have been if I was drawing a bunch of like male superheroes half naked? So,
Listen, that's the thing. I never drew men. Like men, the male form was not something that interested me. I think
mhm,
the female form is so much more interesting.
yes,
It's beautiful. Like to me, I'm looking at you're like, oh, superheroes, and then the Victoria's Secret.
mhm,
To me, if you look at the silhouettes, that is like a superhero with like the wings and the over the top accoutrement or whatever you want to call it. Like
yeah,
they look like superheroes.
mhm. And they've actually had a couple because like I used to be a little obsessed with like every single show, but they did have a couple like two or three like runways like of different years where they had superhero themes, and so I mean, like art imitates life and vice versa. So I feel like a lot of illustrators pull from comic books anyway. So it's kind of like just a big circle of everything's connected, or so to speak. But like there was a few runways where like they did like these big like mechanical looking wings and like high color like very saturated colors as like superheroes. It was amazing.
Let's say you're starting a new piece. Like how do you
Mhm.
decide what you're doing, what you're and like the style that you want to explore? Like
Mhm.
how do you approach that?
A few different things. Like I'm not sure if you're this way too. Like I feel like a lot of artists are like this where we have something in our heads and like when we go to put it down, it does not go as planned.
You just get the like frustration.
Yes. And you could even do like so like one thing that like college kind of tried to teach me, which I used to be really good at, now I don't anymore. Thumbnail sketches. Like getting out like multiple of like tiny little squares of
Hmm.
like a silhouette or like an idea. I used to be really good at that, but now I'm kind of like it's like the first or second drawing nails it. Or like it gets across what I want. So like I don't really
Hmm.
practice as much anymore. Depends on the client, like on like what their passions are as far as like what they want. Now, as far as like my own personal stuff, I kind of like pull from like a little bit of everything. I pull from nightmares I've had before in the past, like literal nightmares. I pull from like nature and fashion and stuff, but it depends on like what the goal is. Like if I'm going for somebody on Drag Race or Dragula specifically,
Yeah.
like if I'm designing costumes, I want it to fit my style, but also be a reflection of who they are. So it's kind of like if they step into my world, like into my brain, what would they look like? And so I kind of like mesh that person's personality with my personality, and that also goes with like fantasy characters like D&D or Pokemon. Like I try to fuse whatever that subject matter is with my world and like my aesthetic, which I feel like a lot of artists do, but I kind of like do like a Rolodex of, okay, what is this person like, and like what do I
Your style is like so stamped. If I was to be schooling and I didn't see your name attached to it, I would know it was you 100%. How did that develop? If you're pulling from so many different places, you have so many different inspirations, let's say, or
like?
references. How did those all merge together to create your now very it's honestly it's iconic to me. I love it. I think it's I see it, I'm like it's like beautiful, it's elegant, but it's also so like savage at the same time.
Well, thank you. I interesting to kind of like look back at your previous work and see how much you've evolved. And it's
Mm.
one of those things where like I feel like I can go like months without making artwork, and then when I get back into it, I somehow level up. And I'm not sure if that's just me or if like a lot of people it happens like where they kind of take a big art break and then they come back to it, and some people are like, oh, I'm rusty. With me, I could go like on a hiatus, and then all of a sudden I know how to draw shoulders better. Like it's the weirdest thing, and so it's almost like I have like big leaps every year of like my own personal style. And for a while, the costumes were cool, but like the body proportions weren't that great. And so I feel like in like the last 2 3 years, I've kind of like hit this stride where everything that I've kind of like built up and learned little by little that kind of like didn't work in the past, I kind of like came to this point where like I'm better at drawing body proportions. I'm more confident with like the costumes I make because in years past, even like during COVID, I was kind of like, my costumes look a little campy, but like not in a good way, and they look a little cheapy. But at some point, I kind of was like, what do I want to see? Like, what do I
Yeah.
want to what do I kind of like want to change it into? Because for a while, I was known for like those monster costumes where like it was like a big cartoon face, like a big with teeth and eyes, and it looked almost like evil Muppets sort of, and
I love
so
it.
and like those were like really popular for a while, but I had too much drama happening behind the scenes with those costumes. So I was like, let me change gears and let me do something that A would be harder to plagiarize, and B just kind of be like, I don't know, more amorphous and more nightmare and like kind of more avant-garde compared to the campy style that I had before. I've noticed things that I wanted to change, and I implemented that, and now I've kind of like come to a part where like I really 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 enjoy the stuff I make now compared to like recent years. So
Are you a horror queen?
yes.
Yeah.
Are you?
I can't do it.
Uh,
I
what
can't do it.
is it? Gore? Is it slashers? Is it like monsters?
I just I'm the person that I feel too much. Like
Mm.
genuinely, if I watch something like when I watched The Descent, that movie, I thought those like cave demons were living in my house
I
for
love that movie.
weeks. It is a good no, for
Yeah.
real. I couldn't like I was like convinced that they were under my bed. Like if I
Hmm.
watch something, like I will dream about it. I will be the protagonist in the movie, and like I'm being murdered or what. So I just for me, I just stay away from it. I can respect the art. I know that there's a place for it in our culture, but for me, it's not something
Yeah.
I like.
I feel like it's one of those things where maybe you haven't found the right content, because so
Okay.
like with my friends recently, his mother like hated horror, but then she fell in love with Mike Flanagan's work on Netflix, like Hill House, Bly Manor, Midnight Mass, because it was like more about storytelling and less. I mean, it still has scary jump scares,
Mhm.
but there was like layers of like humanity and like really good acting. So I feel like maybe there's like a genre. I feel like there's some kind of a genre or thriller for everybody.
Don't you feel though that over time, because the more you watch it, I feel like you become desensitized to, or you become like your nervous system, the way that it reacts to it, like almost
Mhm.
becomes desensitized. Like if you're a like explain that to me, because to me, I've avoided it because it's
Yeah.
too like I'm firing on all cylinders, and so like what is that like for you? Because genuinely, I'm like this is too much.
Yeah, it really depends. Like I'm not sure if you've heard like the Terrifier movies, but they get really
Yeah.
gory and bloody. So it was so funny because like I think the first two kind of ruined us because as horror fans because there's some pretty brutal kills in the first two movies. And so in the third one, we all expected like this big like trending kill that happened in the
Hmm.
first two movies, and it didn't happen. Well, like there was one really bad scene, but I was like, that was it. So I think in my mind,
It's so
I
underwhelming.
yeah, I'm like, damn, like that really wasn't that gory. It was, but so here's what really gets me: like gore does not faze me.
Hmm.
It's that slow burn stuff when like
Mm.
things are in the background and they're out of focus, and and like it's getting closer. That
And you
freaks
can't see
me
it.
out. Yes, or you can see it, and it's just like remember. Did you ever watch the Strangers
The Strangers.
with that Liv Tyler?
No.
Oh my god, please watch that. It is
Okay.
so. I mean, genuinely though, you might just leave your doors and windows locked for like I don't know a whole
For the
week
rest of my
because
life.
it's scary. It's very scary. But the one of the killers comes out into the kitchen, but the woman doesn't see them, and
Hmm.
he's fully in the kitchen light. So if she turned around, she would have seen him. But he's just watching her, and it's a very
Ugh.
quiet, still moment that lasts like 60 seconds. It is one of the most iconic recent horror movie moments. It's so scary.
You
So stuff like
describing
that.
you describing it, I'm like, I'm actually feeling feels. I'm like, ooh,
Because
I
like
don't like it.
her and her boyfriend have a fight, and she's smoking a cigarette like in the living room. It's like his parents' cabin or something, and it's like a nice warm like cozy kitchen light that's
Hmm.
like and this shadow emerges out of the living room, and he's fully lit up, so you can see his whole get up, and he's just watching her, and she can't hear any of it because she's in her own like little world, and I'm like, so stuff like that, it makes me look over my shoulder before bed.
See, I don't want that. I want to just be like, I'm in a safe space. This is
Yeah.
my home. This is where I can like unplug from the world and not worry that I'm going to be stabbed when I'm sleeping.
Yeah, I fully get that. I fully get that.
I recently started rewatching Buffy
Mm,
because it just got added to one of the like Canadian streaming services that I have. And like that's the vibe I like. I like it's camp. It's it's also because it's so like, it's 30 years old basically
mhm.
that it looks like almost jokey at this point, especially with the technology we have today. And so to
Yeah.
me, I'm like, I like that vibe because I don't that doesn't sit in my consciousness at night. I'm
Mhm.
like, and it's also I haven't watched it since it aired. Like I
Yeah.
was a big fan, and so seeing it again, I'm like reliving the storylines. I'm like, oh my, I forgot about Oz. I didn't remember
Mhm.
who Oz was, and
Yeah.
things like that. I've been loving it. That.
See, I wanna get into that, like, it's one of those queer pieces of media that I never got into because, A, there's lesbians in it, and B, there's horror, so you
Hmm.
think I'd be on board. I think I was a little bit scared as a kid. I was like,
Hmm.
because, I kinda, like, didn't come into horror until I was, like, in high school. So, like, I was very scared of my own shadow for, like, years. But Buffy looks so fun, and it's on Disney Hulu now. The problem is, I don't like commercials, and so
That
it was the first opening scene of season one. Like like the high school guy is like taking his girlfriend into like whatever, and they're
the
gonna go have
school.
sex. Yeah, and then like he's like, I don't think there's anybody around, and then she goes perfect or whatever, and then she turns around and she's a vampire. I was like, oh cool, and then it cuts to commercial.
In the first
Like
scene.
that's how bad Disney Hulu has gotten, where like there's like 10 commercial breaks in a 30-minute episode, and I'm like, I need to cave in and like buy ad free that because I want to binge Buffy because the new series is coming out, and like I want to
Be caught
be
up.
ready. Yeah.
Over the years, like I said, I've been following you for a really long time. I've
Mhm.
seen so much of your work. You've done a lot of illustrations of like really famous queens, whether they're from the drag race realm or from Dragula. As you've been putting out your work and you said you choose certain subject matter. Can you talk a little bit about a moment that you got recognized online or you started your online presence start to get pick up and like that made you feel like seen as an artist?
hmm There's been several, but like I'll just go like with the most recent. So like I like sometimes like I'll do like little illustration teasers and like I'll tag the drag queen or like the drag performer on Instagram. And Delta Work, I fucking love her. She
Queen.
Yes, and she was coming here last October. So I was so excited. I was like, I have to make her a portrait because I know she loves Halloween. So I did like a little teaser, and I know she likes fan art, so she saw it and followed me, but we didn't like interact very much. And then when I presented her with the gift, like we kikied, like she was so sweet and she was like enamored. Then like for her to like give me like a shout out online was so cool, and then for her to like bring me up on Very Delta was kind of crazy because I I'm also friends with Boa from Drag Race Canada.
Boa's from my city,
I
so
love
we're
Boa.
both she's from Windsor originally, so we're
Really,
from the same town. Yeah,
I love her.
yeah.
And again, and someone else that I haven't gotten to meet in person yet, but hopefully one day. But it was so trippy because like both of them, like I've known her for a while online, and then I just met Delta, and then like a couple months later, Delta's like, I'm gonna mention you on my channel. I was like, what? And or she said you came up a conversation. I said, oh, that's crazy. And then to have the extent of that be shown on YouTube was so wild to me because they like plugged my artwork, and she was just gassing me up, and so was Boa. It was so like surreal. It's happened before with other queens, but like to have somebody go out of their way to do that, it was just so like I don't know. It was just so cool and so like affirming.
I say this to almost every guest, but like I'm not trying to blow smoke, but I'm blowing smoke. Like you have such an especially in a world where everybody is online, everybody's a lot of creatives will post their illustrations, and there's so many of us, and so
Hmm.
to have a stamped look, like once again, it's like if you were to look at like a Versace outfit, you'd be like, that's
Hmm.
Versace. You can see it, you know it, right? And so to see it, so I listened to that episode of Very Delta, and I had it on my in my headphones, and then I hear them talking because I listen because Boa, like I love Boa, we go
Hmm.
way back. I'm listening, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh, they're talking about Columbus. Like that's amazing. So to me, even though like we hadn't met at the time, the
Hmm.
crossover of me being a fan of Deltas and then knowing Boa and then watching Canada's Drag Race and then listening to the thing and then they're talking about you, I was like, this is wild. Like I loved it.
It's so trippy, and like and like I said before, it's forever flattering because like I feel like some artists who are in that sort of like pocket that I'm in as far as like illustrating drag performers, a lot of them are more so quantity over quality, and that means a lot of things. It means both the work they produce and also their reach because they're trying to get like Instagram famous. Who doesn't want to be Instagram famous, to be honest? But for me, it's more about like making those genuine connections. And like that's part of why I do what I do. And
Mhm.
to like make a friend like Delta is just so cool to me. Like that's the reason behind it because I've always been a gift giver. I love doing that. So like to see their face light up like when you hand them something like that is just so cool, and like I do that for my friends and family. I love to like make gifts for people, and to kind of like be affirmed by another artist that I look up to is just like icing on the cake.
Well, and what you say about the connection piece rings true because you going out of your way to go meet them at the meet and greet or whatever it's called, and then you're like
Mm-hmm.
presenting them with the gift.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to do that. It's really easy to just not easy. I take that back, but it's simpler
Yeah.
to create the illustration and post it and tag them
Mm-hmm.
because then that gets the eyes on it. But when you're
Yeah.
going, you're saying, hey, I made this, I brought it to you, I want to present this to you to keep.
Mm-hmm.
There's more of a human connection to it because it's,
Mm-hmm.
hey, like here I am showing you like you mean something to me and I want
Mm-hmm.
to present this to you.
Exactly. And like I never post those things online at all first. Like I always they're the first ones to see it, to be honest. Like of course I might show friends and family if they're looking around my
Yeah, of
art
course.
desk. But yeah, so like it's kind of like they're and I'm not even sure if some of them even know that, but like a lot of the drag performers, they're the first ones to physically see it. And so I love their reactions. It's so cool.
I honestly love to see it, and I find it so interesting. And now, it's been like this for a while now, but we live in a world where we're so easily, like, we can connect with people so easily because of social media.
Hmm.
And like on that note, like I years ago did an illustration of Sherry Vine, and I
Hmm.
posted it, and she messaged me and was like, "I love it!" Like, and now so many years later, like we're in talks of using that illustration from like 2016 on her merch. And
Oh,
so
that's
like her and I have been like DMing and like trying to, and I'm like, I love this. I think this is so cool. Like, and I want nothing from her. Like I just,
mhm.
to me, I'm like, I want my art to be out there and to have somebody who I I'm sorry, but Sherry Vine's iconic. And to see
Mm-hmm.
her
Yep.
being like, I love your work, I'm like, is she? I literally was like, she's in my DMs. Like, this is crazy.
I
Like,
love that.
and like I love her from like the era of like the RuPaul holiday special from like
Mm-hmm.
'93. You know what I
Yep.
mean? Like that's when I first knew who she was. Like as a kid watching that and being like, who are these beautiful women? You know what I mean? And now so many years later, I'm like, this is crazy. It's so cool. I love it.
I remember seeing like RuPaul back in the '90s, and I was like, I remember like it's one of those things like when you're a kid, you don't really have the language to articulate how you feel about this seeing queer people or someone different like that.
Hmm.
And I was just like, wow, she is so cool. Like
Yeah.
I was like, what is going on? And they always had funny roles in movies, so I was like, who is this person?
Oh yeah, and then you keep seeing her popping up like in Sabrina, like and things like
Mm-hmm.
that. I'm like, wait, that's and then you're put and now it's so crazy to see the trajectory, especially because we're old enough now to have seen
Mm-hmm.
from the early days to now and like the empire that's been built. It's so wild.
It is wild. And I did want to point back too about as far as like when you said like you illustrated Sherry, like what kind of got me started with like doing drag art was it's so funny because I don't think she even knows this, but like Alyssa Edwards was the first drag queen I ever drew back in
Love it.
2013. So it was on the cusp of season 6 about to premiere, so she was plugging Laganja back then.
Hmm.
And shout out to Daniel Cole with Hard Candy events because he's the reason that like I'm always able to meet these queens like during the weekdays and sometimes the weekends. And he like hosts events like in like the Midwest like for these tours. And so he brought Alyssa to Kentucky back in 2013, and she was the first one I ever drew. It was so silly. I knew she liked Christmas, so I drew Alyssa as Mrs. Santa Claus, and
Obsessed.
and like it's deep on my Instagram still, and just to see her reaction, she was like floored, and like when they were exiting because we were still at the club, she turns to her assistant and then she said, "You still have my picture?" And I knew exactly what she meant because there was no artwork. And then he was like, "I got it in the bag." And she's like, "Okay, good." And then she was like happy. It was just so cool, and so I feel like that kind of like catapulted me to be like, okay, I like that reaction. I like seeing them get these sorts of gifts. So I just kept getting better at it.
And that's nice because I've
Mhm,
seen clips of queens talk about how like they don't care about the art. Like they're like, yeah, whatever. And so when you get the opposite where people are actually connecting with your work,
mhm.
it's safe to say that you're making an impact in how you do it, your approach. And I don't know, I love what you do. Like I don't
Thank
want to be
you.
lame and just be that like a gassing up queen, but like it's the truth. Like I genuinely love what you do. I think it's so cool. So I'm not surprised that that's the reaction you're getting.
No, I appreciate that. And I think like as a society, like people are kind of like always straying away from like genuine stuff anymore. So I really
Yes.
appreciate hearing that. Thank you. I feel like a lot of people are kind of like, "Ooh, gosh, sincerity, yuck," and I'm like, "No, I'm very mushy, and I love to gas people up, and I love to just each other's, I guess, or like whatever that phrase is. I just want to blow smoke up everybody's. So,
Yeah. No, I'm the same. Honestly, to
mhm,
me, I can't be like, especially now, you see a lot of people being like, everyone's trying to be cool and trying to be sexy, and like, no one smiles in pictures. I'm like, it's so not me. Like, I can't. I'm not that girl.
no, it's like that gets exhausting. I'm just like,
Exhausting.
my default is goofball,
Hmm.
and just that the whole sexy aloof shit, it never turned me on to begin with. So
No.
I'm like, okay, do what you want, I guess, but I'm gonna be goofy and silly and make friends. So,
And to me, that's if you're putting that out there, like you're gonna attract people with that same frequency. And so
hmm
that's like, to me, I don't want to attract people that don't vibe with me. What's the point? What are we doing?
hmm
You know what I mean?
Have you ever like been like in a group of like aloof people? It is not fun. I'm like, oh, everyone's so hot and cool and quiet.
It's the
Like
worst.
it's not fun.
It's the worst. And like I remember because I lived in Toronto for like
Mhm,
9 years and going out and like, I had my friends, so don't get me wrong. Like I had people around me who were very like similar, aligned, whatever. But you go to these like bigger parties and I'm not like a circuit party person. Like it's the music's terrible. I can't do it. It's just not for me. Everyone is like so like they just don't there's not a friendliness to it. And
mhm.
so going to these things, I'm like, I don't feel good about myself being
Yeah.
here. I feel awful. Why would I continue to try to be part of this thing that is not accepting me?
hmm Yeah, circuit parties are not for me. Like, I wasn't much of a partier anyway, but like, I've always attracted to like the lesbians, the goths, the queers, all those people are like my people. So I think that's also why
Hmm.
I love the drag scene, mostly like with alternative queens, especially because it's chill, everybody's silly, it's a much better time.
Growing up in high school, like I was part of my group of friends was we were all nerds. Whether it was like the
Hmm.
drama kid, the art kids, like we were such a mashup of different types of geek that at my core, like I'm still that person. I'm still
Yeah.
that kid. And so I never really related to the like like that's just not I can't do it.
That was a great description, actually.
Right?
Yeah, it's so funny because like everything's full circle. Like a lot of my alternative friends kind of like spread out, in our adulthood. But then like I think meeting more people who are like-minded goths and stuff today, I'm just like, oh, my people. It's like
Yeah.
it came full
I'm
circle. So
home.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
You said you work like full time, right?
Hmm.
What is it like balancing client work and then your personal projects? Like I know you had mentioned the potential of a graphic novel or like a
Hmm.
children's book. Like how do you balance all of those things in your day to day?
So here's the thing. I'm very jealous and envious of people, my fellow art peers who have partners because when you have like, and this another subject is, the fact that we can't afford anything anymore. But like a lot of my friends have like spouses and partners who they have dual incomes and they're able to pursue their passions. And then their other partners like, baby, you go do you and pursue your artwork. But then when you're
Mhm.
someone who's single and you're by yourself, it's kind of like you're having to make it work for yourself. And so
Yeah.
it's really hard to find the mental strength and physical strength, to be honest, to work an 8 hour shift and then to sit down again and then
Yeah.
work on more stuff. So it's like, I don't think anybody ever really cracks the code apart from exhaustion. And like I have chronic health issues too, so it's kind of like trying to find the right day where I have enough steam to
Hmm.
power through and like do a whole drawing. And as far as like my personal projects, unfortunately those have taken a back burner because it's just a lot to like build your own little thing, especially like when you're trying to make it into something else bigger, like a book or graphic novel. And so I still haven't really cracked the code with that. I'm still trying to figure that out myself. So yeah, it's just there's not enough hours in the day, to be honest.
That question is like, yeah, it's like interview question, whatever, but it's also like asking for a friend. You know what I mean? Because I'm like,
Yeah.
I still, my boyfriend always says to me like, you
Hmm.
gotta, you need more balance. You need to, and I'm like, I have the hardest time
Yep.
because I do want to do the side projects. I do want to do the client work. I do want to try things out. I want to do it all, and also, run the business and manage clients and all this. And it's like I'm at the point now where I'm like, okay, something has to change, and
Hmm.
it's like when you get to that point, I think this is I speak for myself, but I think it's one of those moments where you hit burnout more frequently than you did before, and it's like,
Hmm.
what do I need to do? What are the steps that I need to take
Yeah.
to alleviate or to streamline or to stop doing certain things? Or like, I don't want to do these projects anymore. I don't want to work on
Hmm.
these things specifically. Like I talk about like design, right, with clients. Like I don't
Yeah.
want to do these certain projects or certain industries I want to work with. And so
Hmm.
like that kind of is helping, but it's tough when it's just you, right? Yeah,
Hmm.
we're not big businesses, we're not conglomerates, so it's like how do you can't it's hard to be the Swiss Army knife of running the show.
Yeah, it really is. And like it also doesn't help when I'm sure you can attest to this too. As a creative, we're kind of like especially with the rise of AI, fuck AI. I'm just gonna go and put that out there. Um, the fact that like society, the first thing that ever gets cut when it comes to, I guess, money is the arts.
Hmm.
And but the thing is, like the whole world, like everybody wants gorgeous things. Everybody wants the world to be beautiful. But I'm like, that's an artist's position. But then
Yeah.
we're not treated like an actual career path. They say that we are, but it's like the fact that I have friends who have worked for like Blizzard, like the gaming company, for like small contracts, like for 2 or 3 years, and then once that contract is over, they get the boot because they're looking for new designers. So there's
Hmm.
no like solid footing as far as being a creative concept artist or anything of the sort to be like easily accessible careers basically. And
Yeah.
so it just sucks because like as a society, like, or even globally, I'm sure too, is like the arts are kind of like the first thing people want as far as like making the world more beautiful within their business, but then they don't treat us properly or pay us. So then we resort to having a day job and then having to do our passions on the side. So
Hmm.
it's just not built for us. And that's kind of like it's a detriment, but it's like some people make it work because they have to.
I don't know what's going to shift it. I really don't,
Hmm.
especially with it is crazy. Like even the other day, my sister was like, "Oh, look at this thing that I asked ChatGPT to create," and it's like a picture of her in her room with like all these florals and her cat, and they're hanging out or whatever. It looked amazing. It was
Yeah.
gorgeous, but I'm like, that took how many seconds to make, and then because the AI thing when it comes to art, I'm not about it. When it
Hmm.
comes to like helping me in other things, like
Hmm.
I use it for this. Like
Hmm.
the software I use helps me clip. It
Yeah.
finds clips in the interview. It helps me like put a little post
Hmm.
together, like a written thing and whatever. That in that way, it's like sure you're helping facilitate the day to day
Yeah.
like mundane tasks.
It's one of those things where like and like you said, I like AI for the fact that it makes life easier as far as the grunt work, as far as like little like organize my calendar or whatever, or like organize my video clips. But like when it comes to like I'm sure you've seen the same trend too, where like AI art is like taking over a lot of avenues, and but it's not just art; it's also creative writing and
Yeah,
music. So we have like people out here like turning in college homework using AI. So it's like it's not regulated, and like everything that kind of like requires the human experience with like writing and art making and music. Hypothetically, what does society look like if we're just gonna like let AI do all the stuff for us, like all the creative juicy stuff? Why would we do like let a robot do that?
we are like minutes away from becoming the Wall-E universe. Where
Hmm.
have you seen that
Yes,
movie?
yes,
Where
my
we're
favorite,
just
one of my favorites.
sitting and we're just floating and consuming. That's all
Hmm.
we do, and it's when that movie came out like almost 20 years ago, I was like, oh,
Hmm.
this is where we're headed, and now we're like actually in it. It's
We're here.
I know it's so scary, and that's why you and I we have to keep doing our thing. We have to
Hmm.
keep going and not letting the bullshit stop us because by doing that you're giving into it, right?
Something that I love seeing online is the fact that like if you check the comment sections, a lot of the pro AI art people get ratioed hard because it's so nice to see that like the average person supports art, like true art. And so you'll get like somebody who's being hateful online about like, oh, like AI is going to replace a lot of artists. Like it's just what it is. And then you'll have like 40,000 people comment and like one person's joke like no artists aren't going to go anywhere. So to me it's nice to see that like the majority of the average citizen is on our side, and that the AI, even though so many companies and corporations are trying to push it, a lot of like normal people still support working artists. So I like
Hmm.
seeing that.
Is that what ratioed means?
Yeah, so like I just learned that like a
I'm
few
not that
months ago.
cool.
So like if you're saying, oh, I'm getting ratioed, it means you're getting more comments than likes because the comments are tearing your ass up. Yep.
I'm not that cool. I didn't know what that was. There's so many terms that I'm like, what? I'm like, I've
Yeah.
never heard that before. And so I always feel like I'm such an old lady.
Yeah.
Looking at your career, like what has been the biggest challenge that you faced as an illustrator online and in the art world, other than outside of that bubble?
Hmm. Getting paid. Um, when, I mean, like, so it's so funny because like I've got so many art friends who they've had like little minor issues with like clients not paying. I feel like a lot of us go through that,
We all do,
but
yeah.
like I'm gonna be good, and I'm not gonna name names, but there have been so many points.
Name them.
Yeah, there have been so many points in my art career, like my self-employed art career, especially like with fashion illustration and drag related stuff, that I've had so much plagiarism, like
Mm,
plagiarism, and also people commissioning me to do something, and then all of a sudden they don't have the money. So
that's
it's
bullshit.
yeah, and like one of the scariest parts, and like me and this person don't interact. We still follow each other, so because I'm gonna keep my eye on her. Um, but this one drag queen who's part of a very famous drag family, by the way,
Okay.
She tried to rebrand her entire drag identity as my artwork.
What do you mean?
So the little monster face designs that I've done before. So she made a costume without my consent. She made merchandise of that monster costume with one of my fellow friends who had no idea that I didn't give permission. He thought everything was cool, so he made the merch for her, thinking everything was chill. So there was merch, there was photo shoots, and all this craziness. And then like all of her branding on her Instagram was now the monster face with her face above it. So it was like it was literally my work, but as her entire Instagram identity. And I was
That's
like,
crazy.
and it was like overnight. It was like I heard about it from a friend, thank goodness, and so I was able to kind of like message her the day that she debuted her persona or whatever, and granted, this person is like probably at 20,000 Instagram followers, so way above me. And it just really sucked because like that's been the scariest part because I've had people like not pay me before and whatever, and then I eventually get paid. But this was like full on like art identity theft. And I've had people like make the costumes before and not get permission, but this was like fully making an entire this is my brand. And then the fact that merchandise was involved too, it was so bad. But thankfully, I was able to scare her enough to get paid. So I got paid. And within like a few months, she rebranded again. All that was gone. I was like, see, if I didn't stick up for myself, then she would have used her 20,000 followers and just kept moving. And, who knows?
No matter what, we want to say like, oh, like we need to get along, and or we need, we're both artists, like we should be supporting each other. But like people are trash no matter
Hmm.
what what part of the world they fall into, or society, whatever. There's trash people everywhere.
Hmm.
And I just don't understand, in a world where everything is visible, everything is recorded, everything is online, like it's like the guy at the Coldplay concert, like, dude, there's cameras everywhere. You are not gonna get away with it. Like, what are we
Uh,
live in the Big Brother state, you know what I mean? Like, come
hmm.
on. So it's so wild to me that people think they're just gonna get away with it. And so like
Yeah.
what was the back and forth like when you were like, what the
So, and like this, and like no shade because, she said there was a language barrier, which I understand. But also, is there a language barrier? Because you were able to pay the costume creators and the photographers and the XYZ.
that part?
So for me, I'm like, I'm not really buying that. But I at first, and it's so funny because like I'm glad you brought this up. I'm trying to switch gears and be less nice because I think with like the shit that I've experienced, and I've experienced a lot of bullshit. Like I would say once or twice a year there is a plagiarism scare. And that's why I've been trying to work on building a contract so that way I can at least protect myself. It's just all of that by itself is the legal shit is so confusing to me and it's a lot. But I think I've been way too nice to people because I've had friends that are like, oh yeah, like be more blunt, like tell them exactly how
Yeah.
you feel, but don't be mean. Just say, hey, take that down, please. And for me, I'm over here trying to be like, hey, I'm a human too. Like I try to be all like nice and shit. And like I'll say, I've got medical bills to pay and like I can't afford not getting paid or like my work getting stolen. So I just need to cut all that out and just be like, hey, you're this isn't the right thing to do. So you probably need to like, come correct.
Yeah, and it's one of those moments where, especially if you're more of a soft-spoken person, or you're
Hmm.
not that aggressive, isn't the word, but you're just, like you said, blunt.
Yeah.
You're kind of like outside of your comfort zone, and you're like, this
Yeah.
doesn't feel natural to me. But and sometimes a bitch needs to hear it. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
When it's like, don't, like, enough. Like I've
Yeah.
spent so much time on this work, and now you're just gonna replicate it and present it as your own.
Yeah.
One
Hmm.
time I had, this was years ago. So on the topic of Spice Girls, I had done, back when I used to work for Swiss Embassy, I used to do like illustrations for their t-shirts and stuff.
Hmm.
And I had done a Spice Girls illustration, which I posted on my Instagram. You can find it somewhere. And then I think he had found somebody online who had replicated it and was doing the same thing. So literally, I have pictures of, like, screenshots of it, where this guy had taken the illustration, and it was like a very specific, like they were drawn like a fashion illustration, like very slender, like
Hmm.
long, extended, whatever. And it was traced over top. So it was like the same leg structure, the same arms, the same pose, the same order in which I had put them, the same heads, but he just changed like the colors and then like maybe what the patterns that they were wearing. And at first and this was 2016, so it was like almost 10 years ago. I was in my 20s, and I was like, oh my God, this is ridiculous. I got so mad. And then I was like, hey, really, what's he doing with it? Nothing. And like, it was different than your situation. And then I kind of was like, is this a sign that I'm on my way to making it because
Mhm.
people are copying me? I'm like, and so now I'm like, oh, well, if someone does it, like, if they're making money off it, that's annoying. But in this case, I was like, let them.
Mhm. Yeah. So, like, it makes me go into fight or flight when it happens because, like, the scenario that I mentioned happened in 2023, and, this is, like, amidst, like, me, like, getting a lot of traction from a lot of Dragula girls back in 2023, and so to have that plagiarism happen at that level, I was like, "Do I go for the jugular?" But then I was like, "Let me be nice," and so
Yeah,
through being nice, I've been able to get paid. So it's one of those things where I'm kind of like, I mean, I should be more of a bitch, be more blunt, but like, my approach for me is let me be nice first to like check the temperature, see what
100%.
they do, and then if they get mouthy or don't say something that I like, that's when because I'm capable of it. It's just I don't want to lead with that. So like I am
You
like
can't.
I want to be nice first. Yeah. So I'm like, let me go ahead and be nice. And then if I don't like what they say, then I've already got screenshots. There's receipts. So, but I think people just don't have shame, like,
100%.
because my thing is like I get that imitation is the most sincere form of flattery, but also why are there no tags? Why can't you like mention the person you got the inspo from?
100%.
And I think it comes down to it might be I'm not a psychologist. I'm not going to sit here and therapize anybody. I think I think people are wanting attention and they want to have something that they think is cool and they want to take credit for it. And I'm like that's a deeper issue with your psyche than it is about
Mhm.
me because for a while, like I can't, like I would get so down on myself because I'm like, why is my work getting stolen every year? And then I'm like, I'm a bad bitch, and like my work is bad, so like that's why
That
they
part.
keep copying it. And so
Yeah.
I kind of had to like build up confidence and be like, that's why they're doing it. I don't know if they're insecure with their own work, but like they're craving that online attention or whatever to be a creative, and I'm like, it's not going to bode well for you in the long run. Like you're not going to like again, me being genuine, I think I would feel stealing from somebody. So,
Yeah, 100%. If you're a creative, you're an artist, you're presenting yourself as that, why the are you going out there and taking from other people? It just doesn't make
mhm,
sense to me. Like anytime I am like I have clients sometimes where they're like, "Oh, I love this." They give me a reference. They're like, "I want to replicate this." I'm like, "No, I'm not doing that." Yes, there's influence, there's reference in the sense of I'm seeing this as an inspiration for a designer, brand, or whatever. But I'm never like right out copying because I don't want my name is attached to it. I'm like that would look so bad.
mhm.
And to me it's I don't understand the disconnect from I will potentially be caught. Like, how does that not run through your head? And how do you just disregard that? Like I said, we live in a world where everything is recorded. There are receipts for everything now. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? I just don't understand it.
I've been very fortunate where like I've had a handful of friends who have come to me and say, hey, girl, you might want to see this." And like in the case that happened in 2023, like with the whole branding thing, one of my friends is a really good photographer in Mexico City, and he saw the video clips of their drag family making these costumes and about to do their whole coming out party. And he was like, I'm furious for you. Do you want me to say anything?" I was like, let me just say something.
Yeah,
So
let me go directly.
yeah, and like of course like I live in the US. I don't have like close connections with any friends in Mexico, but to have him kind of like be like one of my long distance social media friends to kind of like reach out and say, "Hey, I want to show you something just so you're aware." Because otherwise I wouldn't have known.
Yeah.
So it's nice when people are in your corner and they have integrity and they want
Hmm.
to protect you as a creative too. So I've been very fortunate that like most of of the times that I've had my work stolen or copied, it's the universe was looking out for me. But like almost every single time, I've had a friend that's been able to stand up for me, and they'll be in the comments saying, "Hey, girl, this looks a lot like Columbus work. What's going on?"
Yeah.
So that's been nice.
Cause you gotta have friends.
And I love when they're like, like, hey, should we go for the jugular? And I'm like, let me be nice first. So like, I've got the option.
Once I had a client, this is like early days. I don't even know if I should say this, but in early days. So I was like a year, not even a year in. And I had this client who the red flag that I catch sooner than later is always like, oh, yeah, we're very scarce. Our budget is small, like blah, blah, blah. And at the time, I was just taking any work I could just to start building a portfolio outside of
Mhm.
my agency work before I was doing it. I did all the work. Now I have structures in place where like at the time I was like, yeah, upon completion, like I'll, pay me when we're done. A month goes by, and they owed me like a few $1,000s. Like it wasn't like pennies. And then I start like emailing them daily. I start calling them daily. I'm like leaving emails. I'm like, I need the money. Like I
Mhm.
need the money. I was at my parents' place and I was talking to my mom in the kitchen about what, like, the same situation, what was going on. And my dad had gotten home from work and he's like, because he could see I was like distressed. And he's like, my dad's immigrant Italian. He's like, what's wrong? And I'm like, oh, like those people, like, they haven't paid me. Like, they're ignoring me. And he goes, where are they? He's like, you need me to come with you? And I go, no, we're not doing that. We're not doing
I
that.
love that. That's so cute.
He's like, where are they? Where do they live? I was like, no, we're not doing that. He's like, no, we're just gonna go talk. That's crazy.
I love that. Oh man. See, I would be tempted. Let's let's ride. Let's go.
Yeah, you're like one more time, and I'm
Mhm.
in.
Yep. If I don't see a dollar sign pop up on my Venmo or PayPal, I'm going to come. That's so cute though.
You talked a little bit about putting yourself out there online. What advice would you give other creatives who like want to reconnect with that sense of play in their work where they can still tap into that thing that was the reason they started in the first place?
Mhm. I just was actually telling one of my friends about this recently because he had stopped art for like 10 years and then he like jumped back
Wow.
into it. So like I always encourage folks to kind of like find time for it because I feel like, the grind of society is just like we oftentimes like forget what we enjoy as
Yeah.
adults. Like we just give up on gaming and give up on artwork and we're just trying to like unwind and like not think about stuff. And I'm like, it feels really good to like reconnect with those parts of yourself. So like I was telling my friend recently, I was just like, feed that like because you don't know what you're going to get out of it. So like
Mhm.
if you feel good doing it, keep at it. Like even if your stuff is bad or you're rusty, like practice makes perfect for a lot of people. So I feel like if you feel any sort of inkling to create something, whether it be 2D or 3D, pursue that because at, yes, it's nice to be recognized, but also at the core of it, art is for ourselves too. And
Yeah.
so a lot of folks like don't realize like the euphoria that you get from like creating something and having other people like recognize that too. So it's just nice to kind of like I don't know, like keep at it. Like even like when you have those days, it's nice to take breaks. We all need breaks,
Mhm.
but it does feel good to kind of like jump back into it after a little while, and then just I don't know. It's almost indescribable the joy you get from creating something that you like the end result of.
And it's so cheesy because everyone says this, but it's acknowledging the inner child. Like as a
Hmm.
kid, think about it. And I know I can assume that you were the same, spending hours alone drawing
Yeah.
and just loving just being in that moment and that
Hmm.
energy. Now, we become jaded as adults, and it's like the fact that I have to think about making money to pay my bills
Yeah.
is destructive to
Hmm.
that joy as that you have as a kid. And so to me, it's like just think about what would little Geo do? What would little Columbus do? You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And like it's easier said than done because we live in a world where we have to work. You know what I mean? And pay our bills.
Capitalism. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
It's I think a lot like not to get all woo woo, but it's very much like
I
it's
live in that world,
yeah,
so go for it.
it's like everything is connected. Like
Yes.
if we had more comfortable lives and we made enough money to and like make enough money to thrive and like not just survive but thrive. On top
Hmm.
of that, being able to have maybe 4-day work weeks instead of 5 because other countries are doing that and the amount of happiness that people have,
Experiencing.
yes, it's and so I'm like a lot of societies are like I'm not catching up to that yet. And just that alone would like be able to kind of like alleviate a lot of the negativity and turmoil that we have as, like in the human experience, because I feel like if we had more time off, we will be able to experience the world and create and all this. And I feel like a lot of our older generations are like, oh, you just want to sit around and draw all day and eat grapes. Yeah, actually, I do. I would like to sit around all day and eat grapes
Yeah,
and read books, because I feel like we're just in this constant capitalist grind, and like everything that like we should be experiencing, we're not getting to.
I don't for a second believe that our purpose on this planet was to pay taxes. Like that's not
Exactly.
why we're here. Like
Yeah.
we are here to experience what the world is. Like
Hmm.
there's nature and each other and connection and love and all these things that's why we're here. And
Hmm.
the powers that be, I this is my how I view things, is like they want to keep us at a lower frequency by putting us through constant fear, anger, the division that's going on. Like when we sit in those energies, we aren't actually like reaching our true potential, which I truly believe there's something to be said about connection as a whole, as a planet, as a species. We are not ever going to get somewhere where we constantly think about, well, you're different than me. It's like, I don't like, can we move on? Like
Yeah.
we've already gotten there. Like let's keep going. And so I
Hmm.
think that's how, what keeps us in that lowered state, which when we're in that lowered state, the first things to go are the like luxuries of connection and art and creation. Like we're thinking about survival, and then those things
Hmm.
drop off. And I don't know, I don't know where the world is going. I mean, I really hope that things can be turned around, but I feel like
Hmm.
something major needs to happen for us to be like, for the masses, because I see it that way, you see it
Yeah.
that way, but the majority of people are so it's so outside of how I operate. And so
Hmm.
I don't know,
Yeah. It's
the world needs more artists.
for real. I feel like a lot of people don't comprehend how like intellectual and kind of like again woo woo like as creatives we're always like daydreaming, and when it comes to like fantasy and sci-fi, even like authors, they'll explore the ideas of society that like living in a utopia. Like even Star Trek has themes of like, what does society look like if all of our needs are met? Like
Mm.
if everybody had food and everybody had enough money to whatever, and like their kids are happy and their old folks are taken care of, what does society look like when you set aside religion and differences and everything else? If all that's on the side and all of our needs are met, we would be so much happier, and we would be able to be traveling in space by now and colonizing other worlds and meeting other aliens. But instead, it's like all these powers that be, they want to keep us subjugated and they want to keep us as slave labor when it comes to the corporate machine.
Hmm.
And we only realize that some. I'm glad that some younger folks now are realizing that a lot earlier. Whereas me, I didn't realize that until like my late 20s, early 30s. I was like,
Hmm.
actually, you know what? I don't like working all the time. Like we should be able to kind of like be more comfortable and like explore life, but instead we get to retire when we hit 65 or 70, and we're almost dead at that point. So
Yeah, literally. What are we doing? Yeah.
what are we doing here? Yeah. So like not to be like super like nihilist about it, but like it does suck to like kind of sit around and think about it. And I feel like a lot of artists think about that because
Yeah.
we've unlocked that part of our brains where we're like, hey, we can live in a utopia. We just choose not to.
The way we'll get there is this, like, is
Hmm.
through connecting with other like-minded people and growing that network of those that we surround ourselves with who are
Hmm.
actually like-minded, because this gives me hope. Like genuinely, this kind of thing where we can chat and shoot the shit, talk shop, but also connect on a human level. Like
Hmm.
that's the thing that I'm like, okay, yes, I'm not alone. Even though like I don't really feel alone, but it can feel
Hmm.
so lonely and
It
overwhelming.
can, especially with our online political climate. It's kind of like you get into like these dark holes of despair, and that's why like a lot of my close friends are extremely open-minded and like leftist, and we talk about this stuff because it's you know uh, I don't know, it's nice to connect with actual humans about these
Mhm.
topics.
Yeah, and like I appreciate you taking the time to do this, like, and to have a conversation with me. It means so much. Like I said, it's like, how you say like when you feel acknowledged online and
Hmm.
people are like showing your work and they like your work. It's like when I have the ability to connect with somebody online previously like you, and then also have you say, yeah, let's have a conversation, and then it's like oh, we are like on the same page. It's
Hmm.
very like heartwarming. It makes me feel seen and makes me feel like I'm in the right place and I'm doing the right thing. Because
Yeah.
to me, like to put these conversations out, there's so much content out there. Like there's so
Hmm.
much bad stuff that we're consuming. And I'm like, not that I'm going to change the world. I don't really think that. But if I can put something out there that is positive and it's like showing like, gives people hope to like keep working or keep trying and keep doing the thing,
Hmm.
that's the thing I could ask for.
And like when you described your channel, I was like, this is amazing. Like I need more positive sort of like channels like this to kind of like give me more hope. So
Hmm.
I very much appreciate being part of it now.
Yeah. So we're nearing the end,
Hmm.
and I ask every guest the same recurring questions, my like final segment. So my whole platform is around branding, like that's my thing, and having people talk about their work, their brands, etc. But look at this from a more like maybe like Google Earth view,
Okay.
like perspective. But like, what would you say is the most on brand thing about you?
Oh, what's on brand for me is watching really, really scary movies that are really traumatizing. But then as I'm watching, I'll be playing Animal Crossing on my Switch. So like,
Picture in picture.
yeah, it's like I'm just like, oh, like a cute like little Animal Crossing world, and I'm gonna go build a little cute garden. And then you look up, and I'm like watching something gory and a massacre.
It's
So,
like two sides. It's like the two your two last two brain cells are like polar opposites.
yes, it's like there are two wolves inside you, and that's me. It's horror, terror, trauma, and then it's cute little animals that speak gibberish.
Like a Jigglypuff.
I love me some Pokemon. Oh my god.
I know. It just got too much. Like by the end, I'm like, there's so many I couldn't follow it.
The ghost Pokemon are very on brand for me too. I love me some
Ghost.
ghost Pokemon. Absolutely.
Is that like Gengar and
Hmm.
mhm.
There's actually a newer one that I'm obsessed with because I'm actually a fish nerd. I live marine biology, and so there was actually a fish ghost that came out with like one of the recent gens, and it's so
Cool.
cool. I love fish and I love ghosts, so it just came together.
I love that. And that's another thing too, like going back to illustration is the amount of different iterations of the characters within Pokemon, like they're so cool. And some of them, I
Hmm.
love that some of them are like almost like human hybrids now. Like more than like I think the first humanish one was like who was the rock one? He was like he
Ooh,
was like the big like muscle.
oh, Machoke.
Yeah. Machoke me out. Like
There's been so many gay memes of that one. Oh my god.
obsessed. I love it. Well, I want to thank you, Columbus, so much for taking the time. I know I said it a few times during the episode, but I really appreciate you coming to chat with me and just it's so nice to meet the person behind the art.
Thank you for having me too. It's been a pleasure, and it's also been fun getting to know you too because like we've not gotten to talk
Yeah.
ever like face to face. So I've really enjoyed my time.
Are you in Louisville or no? Are you in Kentucky?
So I'm in Kentucky, but I'm in Lexington. So it's kind of like it's an hour and a half east of Louisville. So
Okay.
hmm.
So I ask because typically once a year, because I have family in Florida,
Yeah,
and so I will drive down through the states to go see it, and we always go through Kentucky. So like, if
that's
I
crazy.
tack on some extra time, I can come say hi.
That would be so fun. I would love that.
Yeah. Me too. Honestly, I had another guest who's in Florida, and she same situation. Like I hadn't really met her,
Hmm.
and shout out Dr. Garland, episode 10. And I had people being like, "Oh, like your friend," and I was like, "Oh, we had just met on the podcast. Like we never interacted before." And people being like, "I thought you guys have known each other forever." And she was like, "Come visit me in Florida," and I was like, "Absolutely, I would love that."
Yeah,
I love that this platform is allowing me to connect with other creatives as well. So it's very
yeah.
special.
Yeah, definitely come through Kentucky, and I will definitely show you around.
I would love that, honestly. So if anyone listening would love to connect with you, follow you online, send you a Venmo,
For real.
how can they do that?
Thankfully, like I've changed a lot of my handles to like the same, so it's mostly streamlined now. So just at Columbus Heath. So that's most of my social medias now. So like Venmo for sure, PayPal, and it's under at Columbus Heath. But yeah, Instagram. I am now under Columbus Heath.
Go check it out. Honestly, his stuff is amazing. And to anybody who would like to connect with me on design or branding, you can reach out to me through geographic.com. Follow the podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, subscribe to the YouTube, write a comment, leave a review. I would love it. It helps me with the algorithm. And Columbus, I want to thank you again, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Bye.
Bye-bye.